All right, welcome in, guys. Thank you very much for joining me today. I really hope you guys are doing well, and I hope you enjoyed NFL preseason week 1 action as much as I did. So that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're just going to look over most of the games, take a look at the scores, who won, who lost, which players stood out, and I'm just going to give my overall take on the different games and what I saw. Before we jump into all of that, I would like to mention that on my YouTube channel, I create content about sports, money, and personal topics with the goal of bringing value to your life. So if you find value in this video, go ahead, subscribe to my YouTube channel so that I can continue making these videos. Also, hit that like button and make some comments on your reaction to NFL preseason week 1 action. All right, so the NFL season is basically here. We're going to have 3 weeks of preseason action, and then the regular season starts. So preseason week 1 just wrapped up. So let's go ahead and talk about the games from preseason week 1. All right, so I think the first one I want to talk about is the game between the Detroit Lions and Cincinnati Bengals. So in this one, the Cincinnati Bengals get the win 16-14. And it looks like they played in Cincinnati, so a nice home win for the Bengals in their first preseason game. Let's check out some of the stats and see if anybody stood out. So for the Lions, Altmaier, 13 for 22, 130 yards. Josh Dobbs, 4 for 8, 32 yards. Sailors, 55 yards rushing. And a lot of their receivers had multiple catches. Let's jump over to the Bengals. Johnson, 10 for 19, 84 yards. Joe Flacco got some action. He went 5 for 8 for 51 yards. Joe Burrow also got some action. He went 5 for 6 for 39 yards. All right, so the Bengals decided to give some action to Joe Burrow and Joe Flacco. I like to see that in the preseason games, to see some of the stars play. So the Bengals usually get off to a slow start in the regular season, so I think they're trying to get as ready as possible for the regular season. As far as rushing, nobody really stood out there. Receiving, looks like Jamar Chase had 1 catch for 16 yards. All right. So just a solid first game of NFL preseason week 1. Lions, Bengals. Bengals get the win. And Joe Burrow got a little action. Jamar Chase got some action. So hopefully the Cincinnati Bengals will be a little better at the start of the regular season relative to other years. And I think the Bengals, my expectation is for them to be really good this season. They've missed the playoffs the last several years, having, a really good offense on paper with Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. And if they don't make the playoffs this season, I think they're going to have huge changes in their organization. So, and they also bolstered up their defense as well. So I think the Bengals are going to have a really positive season. The offense is going to be amazing. The defense is going to be a lot better. So I definitely expect the Bengals to break their playoff drought and to get into the playoffs. As far as the Lions, looking forward to watching them as well in the regular season. Jared Goff. Love their head coach, Dan Campbell. So, they're going to be ready. And Jahmyr Gibbs, running back, should have a really good season. So, two teams that I think should be in the playoffs once we get there. Two really good teams. So, we'll see what happens with them. All right, the next game I want to talk about is the game between the Green Bay Packers and the Pittsburgh Steelers. So in this one, Steelers get a big win, 28-9. This was played in Pittsburgh. So Aaron Rodgers facing his old team, even though he didn't play. So it was still an interesting watch just to see Rodgers on the sidelines interacting with his current team and his former teammates. And Jordan Love actually got to play in this game, so it was a pretty good watch. 28-9 for the Steelers. Let's check out the stats on this one. Green Bay passing, McCord 12 for 16, 102 yards. The backup, Tyrod Taylor, 4 for 8, 21 yards. Jordan Love got action. He went 3 for 5 for 18 yards. All right, let's check out the Steelers side. Their rookie quarterback, Drew Aller, 10 for 13, 153 yards, 2 touchdowns. So he was really impressive in this game. He might have earned himself the third-string quarterback spot after this performance. Mason Rudolph, who should be the backup to Aaron Rodgers, he went 10 for 11, 93 yards. Will Howard went 7 for 9 for 86 yards. So not sure if they're going to keep all 4 quarterbacks, including Aaron Rodgers, or if they're going to cut one, but we'll see. Running back Nichols had 36 yards, rushing with a touchdown. Their receivers, Skoranek had 2 receptions for 36 yards. I'm definitely looking forward to watching their big tight end, Darnell Washington, who looks like an offensive lineman. I think he had a broken hand last season. So this season, he should be a monster. I can see Aaron Rodgers just throwing darts to him and Darnell Washington just running over people and making people bounce off of him. So I'm looking forward to that for sure. So good game in this one. Big win for the Steelers. I'm rooting for the Steelers this season. I'm a big Aaron Rodgers fan, so I think the Steelers might be better this year than last year. Mike McCarthy, Aaron Rodgers have that familiarity. I mentioned Darnell Washington. He's got DK Metcalf, Michael Pittman Jr. So I think the Steelers should have a really good season. I'm going to be rooting for them every single weekend. Hopefully, Aaron Rodgers has another amazing season and he retires on a high note. So I'm definitely going to be watching the Steelers games and rooting for Aaron Rodgers. And the Packers, I think it's time for them to, step up. Jordan Love, he's got to go far in the playoffs this season. And, if he's not going to take a leap now, when is it going to be? So, expecting a lot of good things from both of these teams. And I think it's reasonable to expect that both of them will be in the playoffs. All right, let's check out the next game. Colts versus New England Patriots, 13-13. We have a tie. It was a bad game when it ends in a tie. And it's only 13 points apiece. So let's see here for the Colts. Anthony Richardson trying to resurrect his career. He went 11 for 14, 145 yards. He had an interception. Looks like he ran for 53 yards, had a touchdown. So that's good. Let's check out the Patriots. Tommy DeVito, 13 for 22, 138 yards with a touchdown. All right, so not the most exciting game to talk about. But just as far as what I'm looking forward to in both of these teams, I think with the Colts, I mean, they're always good every season. Jonathan Taylor, one of the best running backs in the NFL. Daniel Jones, we'll see how he plays this season. He played really well last year before he got hurt. So we'll see if he reverts back to the bad Daniel Jones or if he still continues the good play. On the New England Patriots side, they were just in the Super Bowl. They lost. We'll see how they bounce back this season. Drake May, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. They do have some drama. They've had some drama in the offseason with their head coach. So we'll see if that affects the team. But Patriots should be really good. And I think they're going to be one of the best teams in the AFC. They got a new wide receiver, A.J. Brown from the Philadelphia Eagles. So that Drake May and A.J. Brown connection is going to be a must watch. So a lot of good stuff to expect from these two teams as well going forward. So we'll see what happens. All right, let's go ahead and check out the next game. Chargers versus Houston Texans. The Chargers beat up on the Texans 27-7. For the Chargers, Trey Lance, 12 for 20, 164 yards with an interception. He also ran for 27 yards. On the Texans side, Davis Mills, 9 for 15, 82 yards, 1 touchdown. All right. So from the Los Angeles Chargers, I mean, honestly, I think they're going to be the same as last year. They're usually one of the better teams in the NFL, in the AFC, but they don't ever really go too far in the playoffs. I'm expecting really the same type of result. Justin Herbert is going to play well. He's going to put on the Superman cape when he needs to, but I don't expect the Chargers to go deep in the playoffs. Herbert, he might win the MVP, or it might be in the conversation for the MVP, but I don't think the Chargers are going too deep in the playoffs. The Texans, CJ Stroud struggled last year. We'll see if he bounces back this season. He's got an amazing defense, one of the best in the NFL. So I think he's got to have a good season for the Texans, because they don't want to waste that good defense and get bounced early in the playoffs or not make the playoffs. So CJ Stroud definitely has some pressure on him to have a really good season and, go deep into the playoffs. All right, the game that I was probably most excited about watching was definitely the Arizona Cardinals versus Las Vegas Raiders game. On the Cardinals side, the very exciting rookie that they drafted, Jeremiah Love, running back, must-watch TV right there. Had to tune in to watch him play. And then on the Raiders side, we have a good and healthy quarterback competition between Kirk Cousins and Fernando Mendoza. Definitely had to watch that to see how Cousins looks, how Mendoza looks, and if Mendoza might win out the starting quarterback job. So very exciting preseason game in NFL Week 1. Cardinals get the job done, 27-14. Let's check out the stats on this one. For the Cardinals, Jacoby Brissett, who's their starting quarterback, went 5 for 5, 44 yards with a touchdown. Gardner Minshew came in. He went 14 for 16 for 101 yards with 2 touchdowns. All right, so some good quarterback play for the Cardinals. Jeremiah Love, 11 carries for 58 yards rushing. He also had 3 receptions for 14 yards. So he got a lot of action in this one. That's 14 touches in the first half. So they definitely wanted to test out Jeremiah Love in this game. And I think he showed well. And he's definitely going to be one of the most exciting running backs in the NFL going forward. Let's check out the other side. Fernando Mendoza. Well, let's go start with Cousins. Cousins started out, he went 5 for 6 for 50 yards. He got a touchdown. Mendoza comes in, he goes 10 for 16, 97 yards with a touchdown. So good quarterback play by both of the Raiders quarterbacks. For the Raiders, Ashton Genty, 3 carries for 16 yards. All right. Yeah, really good game to watch. I think the Cardinals, if they just had a better starting quarterback, they would be a really good team with Jeremiah Love and all the other pieces that they have. They have a good defense. With Jacoby Brissett, he's average quarterback, so he's going to give you some good plays, but you're going to have some negative plays with him as well, interceptions and turnovers. So I don't think he's the long-term solution for the Cardinals at the quarterback position, but their future looks bright with Jeremiah Love for sure. The Raiders, my expectation is Kirk Cousins starts out the season. If he's playing well, if they're winning, he should just stay in there. But if there's some turbulence, if it's not looking good, I can definitely see the Raiders putting in Fernando Mendoza in the middle of the season, to try to make the playoffs if they're not looking like they're going to be in the playoffs at the midway point. So that's going to be a very interesting storyline to follow during this NFL season. Fernando Mendoza, if he's going to get some action. He looked really good in this game. He was throwing very accurately. He was making good decisions for the most part. I was impressed by his rookie preseason debut. So he's a big guy. He can run a little bit as well. So, but they don't want to put him in too early and hurt his development. So we'll see what happens there. Definitely the Raiders are going to be a interesting team to follow this season. All right. Next game, Tennessee Titans versus San Francisco 49ers. Titans get the 19-13 win. Some intrigue in this game as well. Definitely want to see how Cam Ward looks, the second-year quarterback. I want to see Robert Saleh, the coach of the Titans. And for the 49ers, just kind of want to see what they look like as well. So in this one, Titans 19, 49ers 13. Let's check out the stats. So Cam Ward, he went 5 for 12 for 57 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. So a disappointing outing by him. He was facing, I believe, the second team defense, second level defense for the 49ers, not the starters. And he only went 5 for 12. So a bit of a disappointing initial outing, but it is just a preseason game. So don't want to make too much of it. So it looks like a few of their running backs had some pretty good yardage. Chestnut, Spears. Calvin Ridley, 1 reception for 18 yards. All right. 49ers. All right, so they didn't play any of their major players, which makes sense. The 49ers are beat up every season, so I think they were just trying to play it safe in this game. So yeah, like I said, want to see Cam Ward, what he looks like in year 2. Does he improve? Does he regress? Robert Saleh, new head coach. How's that going to work out in year 1 for the 49ers? Brock Purdy, he's got a new weapon. Mike Evans, Christian McCaffrey. We'll see if he's still one of the top running backs in the NFL. So some good intrigue in these two teams as well. All right, the next game I want to jump into is the game between the Denver Broncos and Atlanta Falcons. Some intrigue in this game as well. For the Falcons, their new quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa, got some action in this one. And for the Broncos, just wanted to see what they look like. The Broncos got the big win, 27-7. And let's check out the stats on this one. For the Broncos, Jared Stidham, 9 for 15, 131 yards, 1 touchdown. Cortland Sutton, 3 receptions for 60 yards. Evan Ingram, 1 reception for 24 yards. For the Falcons, Tua went 3 for 5 for 22 yards. So that's not the best performance. Bijan Robinson, 2 carries for 6 yards. Kyle Pitts, 3 receptions for 22 yards. All right, so yeah, not too much more to say about this game. That's definitely a big score, 27-7. So not a good look for Tua Tagovailoa. I'm sure he wanted to make a better first impression for the Falcons, but I think the Falcons are going to be one of the lower level teams. Yeah, they have Bijan Robinson, but just the Falcons are always kind of like a below average team. I expect the same this season. For the Denver Broncos, they had a really good season last year, went into the playoffs, made some noise there. So we'll see what the Denver Broncos look like. And Bo Nix, if he's going to take another step forward with Sean Payton, the head coach. So some good stuff to look out there as well. All right, let's take a look at the game between the Buccaneers and the Jets. Bucks get the win, 24-16. My hometown, Tampa Bay Bucks, do pretty good in their first preseason game. Daniels, 10 for 15 for 111 yards. So Baker Mayfield did not play in this game. For the Jets, Bailey Zappi, 6 for 10, 55 yards. He had 2 interceptions. Breece Hall, 4 carries for 16 yards. All right. Yeah, not much more to say about this game. The Tampa Bay Bucks and Baker Mayfield, they weren't able to agree to like a new contract, so that was definitely disappointing. We'll see how that affects Baker, if that fuels him to have an amazing season. And earn another big contract. So that'll be interesting to watch. He did lose Mike Evans this offseason to the 49ers. So honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the Buccaneers regress this season just with that Baker Mayfield situation and they lose Mike Evans. So I wouldn't be surprised if they don't make the playoffs again and if they're a lot worse than last season. So hopefully I'm wrong, but that's my expectation for the Jets. Really not much to say there. They're again going to probably be one of the worst teams in the NFL this season. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the Panthers versus Buffalo Bills game. Good matchup here. Bills get the win 29-14. For the Panthers, Bryce Young, 3 for 5, 18 yards. Kenny Pickett, 16 for 19, 92 yards. ETN, 6 carries for 7 yards. For the Bills, Josh Allen got some action in this one. He went 6 for 8 for 111 yards with a touchdown. James Cook, 5 carries, 21 yards. Khalil Shakir, 2 receptions, 41 yards. All right, so the Carolina Panthers, I think they made the playoffs last season, if I'm not mistaken, over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So that was definitely a big surprise. Not really sure what to make of them. I'm not a believer in their quarterback, Bryce Young. I think he's good, but I don't think he's their long-term solution. For the Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen is the same old Josh Allen, best quarterback in the NFL probably. And he's got a new head coach, so he doesn't have Sean McDermott anymore. So we'll see how that works out. I still think he needs some more explosive wide receivers. That's kind of what's been missing with the Bills these past seasons. So we'll see how that works out. But the Bills will be one of the best teams in the NFL and in the playoffs. So that shouldn't be a surprise. All right, another game that I was really excited about watching was the game between the Cleveland Browns and the Chicago Bears. A lot of intrigue in this game as well. Want to see the quarterback competition for the Browns. You have Deshaun Watson versus Shador Sanders versus Dylan Gabriel. Who's going to get the starting job? And for the Bears, I want to see what Caleb Williams looks like and their head coach, Ben Johnson, what he's got in store. So good game here. Bears blow out the Browns 34-10. Deshaun Watson, 11 for 15, 126 yards. Shador Sanders, 6 for 11, 79 yards, 1 interception. Dylan Gabriel, 5 for 8, 23 yards, 1 interception. Their running back, Concepcion, had a carry for 14 yards and a touchdown. Jerry Jeudy, two receptions for 18 yards. For the Bears, Caleb Williams did not play in this one, but their backup, Tyler Bagent, who I really like, went 13 for 22, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Case Keenum still in the league, 9 for 10, 90 yards, 2 touchdowns. So Case Keenum still getting the job done in the NFL. All right. Yeah, so really interesting game. I think the Cardinals and Raiders game and this Browns and Bears games were the most intriguing games to me this week. It's looking like Deshaun Watson is going to be the starting quarterback with Shedeur Sanders as the backup, or maybe Joe Flacco as the backup. I'm not even sure who Joe Flacco plays for anymore, if it's for Cincinnati or Cleveland. I think he's with Cincinnati, so it should be Deshaun Watson, Shedeur Sanders, Dylan Gabriel in that order. We'll see if Shedeur Sanders gets more playing time this season. That's something I'm looking forward to. And Deshaun Watson gets a chance back in the NFL, so that's also an interesting watch. For the Bears, Caleb Williams should be really good this season. He had a lot of amazing plays last year. We'll see what Ben Johnson cooks up for him. Their backup quarterback, Tyler Bagent, I definitely think he should get an opportunity to start as a quarterback somewhere. Every time he's in the preseason, he plays really well. So that's something I'm interested in seeing as well. Obviously, he's not going to win the job over Caleb Williams, but if he gets traded somewhere, it would be nice to see him get an opportunity. All right. Next game I want to jump into, big game between the Los Angeles Rams and the Kansas City Chiefs. So this might be a Super Bowl preview here. The Rams get the win 20-12 over the Chiefs. And intrigue in this game as well to see the Rams' #1 overall pick, Ty Simpson, who shocked a lot of people that they went with a quarterback, having Matthew Stafford already on the team and having an MVP season. But Ty Simpson went 21 for 25, 190 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. So really good outing by him. Stenson Bennett, 4 for 6, 38 yards. For the Chiefs, Justin Fields got some action. He went 4 for 4, 41 yards. All right. Yeah, nice little game to watch here as well. The Rams are the Super Bowl favorites. They got Myles Garrett in the offseason from the Browns. That was huge. Looks like they might be getting Aaron Donald back this season as well, back from retirement. That would be huge. Matthew Stafford, last year's MVP. They have Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams. So the Rams are definitely the favorite in the NFC to make the Super Bowl and probably win the Super Bowl. But they still have to show up on the field and execute. So the Rams are definitely going to be a must-watch. Chiefs, also a must-watch. Mahomes back from his knee injury. Is he going to be the same old Patrick Mahomes? Is he going to be better? So That's going to be a good watch as well. They added a new running back who won the Super Bowl MVP with the Seahawks. So he's going to be a good addition. We'll see if the wide receivers step up for the Chiefs. So a lot of intrigue with the Chiefs. We'll see if they're the old Chiefs, the dominant Chiefs, or if they're going to struggle again this season like they did last year. So they're going to be interesting team to follow for sure. And let's check out the Philadelphia Eagles versus Baltimore Ravens matchup. In this one, the Ravens get the win 24-7. For the Eagles, Jalen Hurts did not play. Andy Dalton, 3 for 6, 20 yards. Tank Bigsby, 2 carries for 5 yards. Will Shipley, 7 carries for 22 yards. Payton, 3 carries for 45 yards. Yes, so I mentioned that the Eagles, they lost A.J. Brown to the Patriots. So we'll see what the receivers look like for the Eagles. I wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles regress this season as well. I know there was a lot of drama with A.J. Brown, but he was still one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. They lose him, so I think the Eagles are going to struggle this season. For the Ravens, Lamar Jackson did not play, but Tyler Huntley went 6 for 7, 76 yards. Derrick Henry did not play. All right. So, yeah, 2 really good teams here as well. Again, I think the Eagles are going to regress this season. I really do. We'll see if I'm wrong. Saquon Barkley's still there, but A.J. Brown is a big loss. Jalen Hurts, he's a good quarterback, but not elite. For the Ravens, Lamar Jackson is getting older. How effective is he with his legs now and going forward? So that'll be interesting to watch. So good stuff to follow from these 2 teams as well going forward. All right. And the last game we're going to talk about from NFL preseason week 1 is the matchup between the Dallas Cowboys and the Seattle Seahawks. Cowboys get the win 17-7. For the Cowboys, Prescott did not play. Milton went 12 for 15 for 80 yards with a touchdown. Sam Howell, 8 for 12, 94 yards with a touchdown. Seahawks, Jalen Milroe, 5 for 8 for 36 yards. Drew Lock, 9 for 13, 40 yards. Prescott or Darnold did not play. JSN did not play. So, all right. 2 pretty good teams in the NFC. Obviously, Seahawks are the defending Super Bowl champs. We'll see. Are they as good as last year, or are they regressing? That'll be an interesting follow. I mentioned the Super Bowl MVP running back that they lost, so that'll be a little bit of a loss. But they still have Jackson Smith and Jigba, Darnold, and a lot of other pieces. So we'll see what happens. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the Seahawks regress as well. I mean, they can't do more than they did last year. They won the Super Bowl, so I wouldn't be surprised if they're not as good this season. If Darnold maybe cools off a little bit, and if they just have a little bit of a Super Bowl hangover. For the Cowboys, they're supposed to be one of the most exciting offensive teams. Dak Prescott, CD Lamb, so and George Pickens. So there's supposed to be a high flying offense. They're talking a lot in the preseason. They have high hopes of winning the Super Bowl, and Dak Prescott is saying those things. So they also have a better defense. They've added some pieces this past season, so I think their defense is going to be a lot better. So, but I think it's going to be the same old Cowboys. I think they're going to be a little flashy during the regular season. They might make the playoffs, but I don't take them seriously to go deep into the playoffs. I think it's going to be the same old Cowboys. All right, guys. That's all I wanted to cover for NFL preseason week 1. I really hope you got some value out of the content. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, again, subscribe to my YouTube channel so that I can continue making these videos. Hit that like button and make some comments on your reaction to NFL preseason week 1. And I'll see you guys next time. We'll do NFL preseason week 2 reaction. Take care and see ya.